It seems like Hendrick Motorsports has won another battle in NASCAR, this time off the track. The team firmly believed that they had nothing to lose because they weren't at fault for the hood louvers, and while NASCAR tried to make an example out of this team by penalizing each driver $100K and docking them 25 points each, all the sport did was make a clown of itself. The appeal that Hendrick Motorsports sent was a successful one, and now NASCAR has been receiving all kinds of critiques for its inconsistencies. When NASCAR gave the harshest penalty they ever did in history in terms of penalizing a team for modifying car parts to Hendrick Motorsports, many thought that the team will keep its head down and work its way through the top. But you don't get to become one of the most successful teams in the sport by doing this. Quite the contrary, you need to fight back. This is why Hendrick Motorsports came out with an official statement saying that they were not going to respect NASCAR's decision as long as their integrity was being hurt, as they'd appealed the draconian fine given to them. At this point, NASCAR was penalizing everyone left and right, and mostly for the right reasons, so there wasn't any particular hope that the team would win a case against the sport. But little did we know, the 3-member National Motorsports Appeal Panel has decided to rule in favor of Hendrick Motorsports, and they've reduced part of the severe penalties that NASCAR issues to all 4 Hendrick Motorsports Cup teams for unapproved modification of a single source supplied part. But before we go any further with the decision of the panel, make sure to like our video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on the notifications. And now back to Hendrick Motorsports and their huge win against NASCAR's rules. Now, although the win was definitely in favor of Hendrick Motorsports, the panel kept its ground and ruled one thing: the team did something wrong, which is why a penalty should be present. However, the 100 owner and 10 playoff points that were initially given to the team have been rescinded, as have the 100 driver points assessed to drivers Larson, Bowman, and Byron as well. The members that ruled this out were Kelly Housby, Dixon Johnston, and Bill Lester, and even though the team still has a $400,000 penalty to pay, winning the battle with the points is enough of a statement to show NASCAR that they have crossed the line with this move. Rick Hendrick was the first one to speak out about this matter, but he has found a shocking response from NASCAR, with the sport absolutely slamming the team and the panel for its decision, while Hendrick said that he was more than grateful to the panel for their time and attention, adding that today's outcome reflects the fact, and the panel did the right thing by overturning the points penalty. NASCAR wasn't so happy with the outcome of the 3 judges. Even though the sport saluted the fact that the panel acknowledged Hendrick Motorsports did violate the rulebook, the end result isn't something they are pleased with, as they went on to add, "We are pleased that the National Motorsports Appeals Panel agreed that Hendrick Motorsports violated the rulebook. However, we are disappointed that the entirety of the penalty was not upheld. A points penalty is a strong deterrent that is necessary to govern the garage following rulebook violations, and we believe that it was an important part of the penalty in this case and moving forward. We will continue to inspect and officiate the NASCAR garage at the highest level of scrutiny to ensure a fair and level playing field for our fans and the entire garage." It was evident that once Hendrick Motorsports got their hood louvers during the opening practice of the weekend at Phoenix and underwent further inspection by NASCAR, the sport was going to implement a penalty on the team's name. But not many had hoped that the penalty would be of the magnitude that NASCAR decided, with all 5 crew chiefs being fined $100,000 and suspended for 4 races each, on top of the playoff and owner points being deducted as well. Now, Alex Bowman will be at the top of the NASCAR Cup Series standings. William Byron will move from 22nd to 3rd, and Kyle Larson will move from 27th to 9th. This is by far one of the best things that could have happened to Hendrick Motorsports, as they are now looking forward to presenting even more dominance in the upcoming events. But now that everything has been said and done, and now that Hendrick Motorsports has been found guilty of modifying the parts, with NASCAR showing their uttermost disappointment with this development of events, one question remains to be answered. Why did the teams do what it did on their cars? It's not a rookie mistake. They knew that parts like this are illegal to modify and to work on once they're delivered in the way that they are from single-source suppliers. So what does Chad Canals, Hendrick's vice president, have to say about this matter? "We made sure that our parts fit the hood and the hood closed, and it did all the stuff it needed to do," was the short and punchy response by the vice president. So even though the team was given back the points, they haven't been released from all the guilt. As for NASCAR, the sport will have 2 more appeals they need to worry about in the upcoming period. One that is going to be held in place on the 5th of April in terms of Kaulig Racing for its louver penalty from Phoenix, as well as Hamlin's appeal for his intentional wreck into Ross Chastain at Phoenix, with the latter one being reviewed on the 6th of April. This couldn't have come at a worse time for NASCAR, as the sport is now facing a huge challenge to hold on to its integrity and keep its chin up after it was proven that they are approaching things a bit too hard and a bit too harsh with the penalties. After all, they did go for one of the greatest teams out there, and in a desperate attempt to make an example out of the team's illegal hood louvers and fix an issue that has been going on for years, NASCAR just opened the door for more issues of this nature to come their way. Therefore, who is at the biggest loss here? NASCAR has lost a lot of credibility and respect among the teams, as everyone out there is likely to appeal a penalty once they are found with illegal parts on their car. $400,000 is a huge penalty to be paid out, but now that the drivers do not have the points being deducted from them, the only thing that can insert fear into the owners' minds is the financial burden, which may not be too big of an issue for them to pay in times like this. On the other hand, NASCAR is yet to prove that they can bring consistent penalties to everyone out there, and the fact that Suarez was penalized $50,000 for an incident that seemed even harsher than the one Gibbs received $75,000 for the same thing last year in Texas goes on to show that the consistency in the sport is currently at the lowest possible point. There is so much that needs to be understood in NASCAR right now, and the fact that drivers like Hamlin are going against the sport and headbutting them in a direct battle when it comes to the penalties being handed left and right doesn't help the integrity being kept at a high level at all. Hamlin was also penalized for $50,000 and 25 points, just because he admitted on his podcast that what he did against Chastain was intentional. True, that is by far enough for you to get penalized, and NASCAR's officials said that if it hadn't been for Hamlin talking about that on his podcast, he wouldn't have been penalized in the first place. But at this point, there's definitely one question that NASCAR is being hunted by, and it's not whether a side or a team is guilty or not. It's the amount and magnitude of the penalty. Many believe that the drivers and teams that commit smaller atrocities in NASCAR are being handed smaller penalties, while those like Suarez, who have endangered other people's lives in the pit lane, have been handled with slaps on the wrist kind of penalties. Bubba Wallace's insider, Freddie Kraft, was very angry that NASCAR didn't handle the same penalty to Suarez as they did to Gibbs, as he condemned the number 99 Trackhouse Racing driver's actions, elaborating, "This is just what an idiot personifies. You cannot do this." Not only that, he runs into Ross coming to pit road and shoves Ross out into the runoff area there. And then he hits Bowman hard enough to get Bowman out of shape once. With all this in mind, what do you think about NASCAR's actions towards Hendrick Motorsports? Do you think that the team has won one of the biggest battles in their existence, even though they are still guilty of modifying the hood louvers? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want to watch more NASCAR related content, make sure to click on the logo that will appear on your screen right now.